Hi everyone, this is the video for assignment 4-10. I'm going to apologize if it's a longer video. I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm going to be pausing and finishing things up and then going along. So what you're given is a general ledger, a general journal, and you're asked to complete the trial balance. So the first thing we have to do is we have to set up the general ledger accounts. That's not that big of a problem. We've already done setting up in previous problems, but now we have to enter in beginning balances. So if you scroll up, it tells you the balance in the accounts. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of a split screen here. So we're going to use the date of October 31st, since that is when the balance is. And we're not going to put anything, so in item it's going to be balance. So we have month, date, balance. We're going to bypass the first two debit and credit columns, and we're going to go straight to where it says balance, and then it gives us the information. So we're going to enter 6211. What I've already done is I've taken the information from the trial balance where it lists the accounts and the account numbers. I've already entered it into the general ledger to make life a little easier and to make things go a little quicker. So then we're just going to keep repeating the process. And that is okay. This part is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to pause the recording and finish entering these amounts in. Okay, now I have entered in all of the information from the trial balance. The post reference for the balance should be a check mark because it is not as easy as it would seem to insert a check mark. I don't really worry about that. If you take a look at recently used shapes, lines, it'll be pretty tricky. So as long as you enter in the post reference for the rest of the assignment, that would be great. So we did part 1. Part 2 is we have to journalize the transactions. And it states putting November 1st through the 11th on page 7, November 12th through the 24th on page 8. I'm not as worried about having the information on the exact page numbers that the textbook specifies. As long as you have the transactions, that is what I'm more concerned with, is can you get the transactions, enter them properly into the file. So let's do a couple transactions. So the date, November 1st, it's going to be rent expense, cash, and then you would put the account number. So rent expense is $521, cash is $101, the amount is $300. And then, so you would just keep on going. So tailoring supplies. We purchased them on account, so it's going to be accounts payable since our company purchased them. So tailoring supplies is account number 141. Accounts payable is 202. It is $150. And then technically, you should be putting in a description, so it would be paid rent for month of November. I'm not as worried about the descriptions as some instructors. Again, if you're using a computerized system, it's going to do that for you. I'm more worried about, can you get the information in correctly and come out at the end of the problem with the right amount. So I'm more lenient on that than some instructors. So the next one is we purchased a buttonhole machine. If we look at the accounts, we don't have one specifically for a buttonhole machine. So it would go under tailoring equipment. We purchased it on account. So again, it's going to be accounts payable. If you want to do the description, tailoring equipment is 183 and then 202, and it is $300. Okay, the transaction on the 5th. This is where we start getting into a little bit of trickier transactions. So we earned revenue of $400. So that's what both sides of the transaction has to equal, is $400. We received $100 in cash. So we received cash. And $300 on account. So that's going to be accounts receivable. I'm going to abbreviate here to make life a little easier, of $300. And then it is going to be tailoring fees if we look above. Tailoring fees is 401. Accounts receivable is 122. And so we have to make sure that our two debit entries equal the amount of the credit entry. This is going to be so that our transaction, our equation, stays within balance. Again, the debits have to equal the credits. So you have to make sure that that is taken care of. And so it would be earned tailoring fees or earned revenue or something to that effect. So I'm going to pause the recording and finish up the transactions. Okay, now we have all of the transactions entered. Now our next step is taking these entries and posting them to the general ledger like we did in problem 5 and problem 9 as well. So again, this is a standard procedure in accounting. You have the journal and you just keep transferring the information from page to page. So let's go ahead and work on this. We have rent expense on the 1st for $300. So we're going to go down to rent expense, November 1st, the page, and it was for $300. So we're going to add that to our pre-existing balance, and that's going to be $900 in that account. But then we also have to go up to cash. Remember, since we use the double entry method, each transaction will be entered twice. It's going to be a credit for $300 and to show that we are decreasing our cash balance. So we're going to take $6,211 and subtract $300. That's going to give us a balance of $59.11. Remember, we need to keep a running balance in the account. Again, you may want to print out the general journal. That way you don't have to keep flipping back and forth on pages. And then you can also just check mark what you've done when you've done it. Another option is you can, once you have entered amount, you can highlight it, or you can highlight the account and then just delete the highlighting when you're done. That way you know that you have entered that account. So tailoring supplies for $150. Oops. Make sure the date, November 2nd. Journal reference, $150. That gives our balance of $1,150. We purchased it on accounts. We're going to go down to accounts payable. Again, I'm pretty sure that's the amount, but I'm going to break out the calculator just to double check my math. Because any amounts off will throw your trial balance off, which is the next step in the process. So on the 3rd, we purchased tailoring equipment. Journal page 1. It was $300 worth of equipment. $4,100. We purchased it on account. $4,575. And we're going to keep up the process with the rest of the transactions. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording and finish up recording the transactions. Okay, now we have all of the transactions entered into the ledger. Now we have to prepare the trial balance. So this is the last thing that we have to do for this problem. So we're going to go back up to the partial worksheet we were given, and we're going to use that information. So it's Taylor, tailoring, and this is for November 30th. And we're going to list the accounts. We're just going to go right down the road, right down the list of what they have. Then we're going to go ahead and enter the account numbers. Okay, and we're going to take our information, our balances off of the general ledger we just finished. So we have the account for cash at $7,012. Accounts receivable we have at $684. Again, we're just going to go straight down the line. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and finish up entering in the information from the general ledger. Okay, now everything is added in from the general ledger. You'll notice even if we did not use the account, such as the drawing account, we did go ahead and list it in the trial balance because it does have a total. Get this to where I can zoom in for you. So now what we're going to do is we are going to total the accounts to see if they have a balance. So I'm going to put a thick border underneath. And again, I'm going to let Excel do the math for me. If the amounts don't balance, we have to go figure out what we did wrong. Luckily, they balanced, and so that's all we would need to do for this problem. When you get to this point, and if you're having any trouble, or if you have any questions, or if you want to make sure you're doing it right, let me know.